Howdy! Howdy, everybody! Oh, how we doing? Happy day, whatever day it is. I don't know where we are.
Thursday.
That one, yes. 5 points to Hufflepuff. You're definitely a Hufflepuff. Hey, Reese, how's it going, man? Yeah, I thought Halloween streams, why not? We put all that time into making it. We're just going to show it off everywhere. No, not impromptu. It's Thursday. Thursday. Yeah, it is catchy, isn't it? I played it to my friend Liam the other day, Kaya, and he literally was humming it. Liam was humming it within, I don't know, a few minutes when we went to the spoons. Yeah. Oh, like, there you go. That'll be stuck in your head now.
Very catchy.
It is very catchy. Monster Ski. I'm on a field trip with my niece going to an art museum. Oh, that sounds fun. Well, enjoy your field trip. Right. I'm way too hot. I'm actually going to put the fan on.
Oh no.
Yeah, fan on or door open. One of those.
Door open.
Let's do the door.
Yeah. Oh,
I need
that
airflow. I need airflow. Just got to make sure the cats don't jump up and knock the juice everywhere, which is probably going to happen. There we go. Slight foreshadowing. Right. Yeah, we're going to carry on from where we were the other day, which is working on this. I was hoping I'd have some time to really work on it. I've had about 20 minutes so far. All I've done since what you saw last time was hide Monsieur Flaming Skull for a moment and just try and recenter the lake and kind of arc these sides up. Not entirely sure where this is going, but I do want to nail the idea down so we can get on with the fun stuff. Not that this isn't fun, but it's I want to get going. We had Flaming Skeleton Bride thing there. We had Castle in the lake there. So yeah, we've got a few ideas. A few ideas cooking. Also, before we start, because I know I'm going to forget once I get going, I sent out an email yesterday about potentially putting together a new 6-week Pro Designer Blueprint program, which effectively is going to be limited number of places. I'm thinking maybe 10 to start with, but we'll see. And it's going to be working directly with me to work specifically on leveling up your logo design skills and working on real world projects, learning the logo design process, getting you set up with a portfolio and or a website. So it's going to be a 6-week program that is just, it's going to be nice to kind of work with some people a bit closer and really kind of help get people results in terms of progressing their ability to not just design logos and design them professionally, but to have the confidence to know that, oh yeah, you are doing it right. And so that's what I really want to put into this program is all the stuff that I wish I knew. So, yeah, so week one would be like, we'd be looking at sketching, looking at Illustrator, the tools you need to use, client questionnaires, word mapping, discovery call, all that sort of stuff. And then week 2, 3, and 4 would be working on real projects, getting video feedback from me. So essentially just working closely to get you making stuff and then kind of teach you through feedback. And ultimately finish with 3 finished logo design projects. Week 5 is going to be the client side of it. So like statement of work, contracts, pricing, managing the whole process of staying on top of multiple projects. And then how to present a logo in a PDF format to a client. And then week 6 is going to be the portfolio or the website. And then a UI UX audit from me, because I've got a lot of experience in UI UX. So it's just going to be like once you've made it, you've got your logos that you made throughout the program. You got your portfolio or your online site, wherever you want your presence to be. And then we're going to go and look at the whole thing together and tie a nice little bow on it. So I'm really excited, actually. I think it's going to be very, very transformative. So all that waffle leads me to just say that the link is pinned at the top of the stream. So if you do want to level up your logo design game and learn how to design professionally and just all that stuff that I just mentioned, there's a link at the top just to sort of say, hey, I'm interested. And it's been really positive so far. There's about 100 how many people? 112 so far. So 112 people have just sort of signed up with their email and just said, yep, this sounds interesting. So it's really just to kind of stay updated as to how that develops. But yeah, it'd be nice it's great teaching Photoshop and Illustrator, because it's like you can do so many different things. And we do illustration, logo design, graphic design, web design. We do all that. But it's the first time I'm actually going to be able to say, we're just going to focus on one type of design. And even if you're a beginner or you've not got very much confidence, that's fine. That's fine. Just bring what you got and then we'll sculpt you together. Yeah, it'd be fun. Oh, you like the song? Oh, good. Hey, Kalule. Right. Okay, so we've got, the landscape's coming together. There's sort of a story here. I mean, either a giant died or an old species. Maybe pumpkins took over. I don't really know. Should they have faces on? I kind of feel like I want a focal point of some sort. And I am actually going to... There's a few different grid systems you can use for layout, but one that I always love to use for most things, even logo design, is the rule of thirds. So I think we're going to do that here. So we just got to divide this into effectively 3 columns and 3 rows. So height, what are we doing? 4,000. Let's pick a funky color. Let's go good old, some sort of cyan-ish color. That'll be good. And actually, what am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah, there we go. Let's just use this instead. Oops, wrong option. Where is it? New guide layout. Yeah, there we go. Much easier. Let's just do that. Columns 3, rows. Just use actual guides. There we go. Much simpler. Clear existing guides. I don't think there are any. Yeah, and then I'll probably get rid of these ones on the edge because I don't really need those. There we go. That's fun for a Thursday. Forgot you can add an entire grid system. If you didn't know that, you're welcome. It makes it much easier to turn them on and off. So, and the reason that we would use the rule of thirds is because by aligning things to it, you can create something that looks a bit more visually pleasing to the eye. So if I were to add this Joker card in here, for example, I'm not saying this is like a, this is going to work all the time, but you could align certain elements to this this grid. So take it with a bucket load of salt. I'm thinking of having a giant Joker card, but kind of like Alice in Borderlands, but I'm not entirely sure. Don't don't run over a rabbit, Kerry.
What?
You need to run over a rabbit in his truck. I don't understand why Illustrator and Photoshop can't just have the same grid system. Well, because that makes far too much sense. I want to know what this affinity thing is. Because I think it's what, Adobe Max next week. And then there's the mysterious affinity announcement on the 30th. Something about creative freedom. So we'll see what's going on there. Right. Oh, I've got a crow randomly down there. Right, what am I going to have as the focal point? I need the images, really. Let's get the images. Right, let's bring these up. So this is the competition, by the way. I haven't actually mentioned that today. So these are the images that we have to use. And you can make a Halloween themed piece of photo art, photo manipulation, whatever what you want to call it, in Photoshop or Affinity Photo or Photopea. But I need a focal point. I've not got the castle. I could use the turret from the castle and have like a... Oh, we could go for like a Sauron's tower. And then have... Oh, and have the cards. Loads of Joker cards floating around it. That could be cool. But I've lost my castle. Where have you gone? Oh, too many ideas. Do we add castle? Castle fits in there quite nicely. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. Let's try plonking this in. Let's see how that goes in there. Here we go. Yeah, so you could do something like that. Coming out the lake. I don't know. It feels a bit uninteresting. I like the idea of the floating cards, though. What are they floating above, and why? We'll see what happens. Hey, Nick, how's it going? Are you going to make fun of my entry, Dan? No, of course not. That didn't really sound very sincere, did it? No, I won't be able to make fun of it because you've enrolled in the Photoshop course and it's going to be absolutely excellent, right? Chains. These can easily go around the pumpkins. I was toying with having a giant pumpkin in the middle, but I don't know if that's just a bit... I don't know. I feel like I could do something a bit more interesting. Yeah, if you go to dansky.com, scroll down a little bit, there is a card where you can click on to join the community and it will take you to the link. So you just have to click on that, pop in your name and email, and then you'll get an invite to the Discord. What goes in the lake? What about a skull? Because I had the flaming skull before. I do like that. What about if you were floating in the lake rather than just floating? So it's almost like the remnants of some kind of giant beast thing just floating in the lake. Oh my god, a cat just appeared. Down you get. Let's try this. Yeah. Try and see if we can have you just floating around there. I don't know. Maybe. I think. What do you think? I always like to have, like, in a lot of my sort of artwork like this, it's usually very video game inspired. So I like to have like a hero or a focal point, very prominent. That's all right. What's your graphics card, Kerry? Didn't get past module 2. Come on. Module 6, Andrea. Jump straight to module 6. You'll be doing this sort of stuff in no time. Thank you. Bit less fuss. Tim, in fact, Tim. Oh, you gone? I'm just talking to myself. Never mind. I was going to say Tim and Liam liked my haircut as well, but she's not here anymore. It's just me talking to. Oh, you. Skull bigger. You need to be bigger. I'm going to have to make the other bones bigger as well. Tim and Liam like my haircut. Tim and Liam like my haircut.
I like your haircut.
I know. I know you like it. You love it. That's the end of this conversation.
But I also like it longer.
No, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. Oh, nice. Do. Right. Skull in the lake. Oh, that would create some nice reflections. Do we put the crown back on his head? Let's see how it looks. I think the landscape needs to be a bit wider. I need to make the lake bigger. Let's try and scale it up. Maybe squish it in. I kind of want it so it's sort of angled inwards. Yeah. I think if Skelly, call him Skelly, is going in the lake, the body's got to be bigger, right? Let me make this tiny little pelvis. Yeah, maybe like going up there. Raven. We could pop him somewhere. This is Raven's probably the easiest bit. He could just sit on the crown. Oh, no, not like that. Yeah, little Raven friend. There we go. I'm just gonna sit on your face. Wait, that sounded weird. Sit on your eye socket. There we go. That's better. My HP laptop was trash. The Lenovo screen broke, and now I have a Dell, and it's the best laptop I've ever had. You love it so? Oh, amazing. Hey, Carl. What's the percentage split, Kerry? Like 80, 90% gaming, 10% work? Raven's got to be little, I think. Yeah, pumpkins. I don't know how they got there, but they are here. Oop. Let's make sure we lock the guides. We don't want them to go weird. Something like this should be pretty good. So have the tops of the pumpkin coming out over the mountain. It just sort of gives the whole thing a sense of depth. The castle's in the background. We're going to have to play around with some depth of field here. So the focal point is going to be on Skelly in the middle. But it is it's like quite a wide landscape shot, so we can't go too hard on the depth of field because it will look weird and fake. Even this sort of thing with a wide aperture isn't going to blur everything too heavily. I want the cards floating. Add some gold detailing to the skull. It's a crow. Yeah, there is a difference, but it's definitely a crow. I know that because I named the file Raven, and I had to check. Actually, where's my lake? I've lost my lake. Ah, there we go. I knew there was something missing. Yeah, center the mountain. Oh, that's... wait. What's this? Oh, it looks a bit weird there. It's kind of like another lake arcing back. Let's get two of them. Alright, this one here. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, there we go. Right, there we go. Nice. So I'll call this lake. Distant mountains. I think there's some sort of story here. Maybe. I feel like the castle needs to be a bit grander. I like how it leads. It all leads down to that focal point, though. Yeah, if you're using NBA official photos without consent, you probably will run into issues. Actually, I quite like this. I quite like this. I just need to... Oh, crap. Where's the bird? He's floating. No, bird is going to go on top of skull head. Skelly. We'll call him Skelly. Could have a few. Oh, we could have some baby crows. It could be like a little crow family. It made his nest in his eye socket. That could be lovely, couldn't it? Where's the Joker card going to go? Unless... Unless we have the Joker card. Kind of... This work? Flip it sideways. This could look kind of cool. And then have it curling back on itself. We could have a bunch of cards just floating around. Don't know if it's a bit chaotic. In the crow's mouth. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, you wouldn't really see it though, would you? Yeah, because it'd be on its side. You could do. Or unless... Oh no, go on. Let's just try it. It would be very subtle. Where are you gone? Something to the effect of this. You could do, yeah. So then how would we'd have to get the crow and part of his beak. I guess we'd have to take the bottom half off. Yeah, I think a simple way of doing it or thinking about it in terms of imagery and copyright is who owns the image, not who the photographer is. What company owns the photo? Oh, we could have the skull flaming, still flaming. And if it's not you and you haven't purchased any sort of license or whatever, you probably can't use it. That's probably the easiest way to think about it. If someone found out you've been using it, would they get a bit cross? It's probably another way of thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, you could do the flaming idea. I think the first thing is compositing it all. Right, we're going to go for it, I think. Maybe. I suppose up here, if I wanted to do a title, I could do something. Yeah, it's a bit more environmental than what I would normally do, but I do like it. I think it will look cool. We could do a really sexy looking sunset. I've ballsed up the mountains a bit, but so let's just fix that first. Right. Oh God, what have I done? Ah, yeah, there we go. Let's just get that back in the middle. A bit more to the right. Yeah, we're pretty much there, I think. Oh, what is that? That's some weird thing. You gotta watch out for this. Weird lines. Oh, there they are. Sky. Ah, it's the mountain. Yeah, we definitely don't want them. Yeah, let's get rid of all that weirdness. Right. I think that's enough to get started with. Oh yeah, actually, if I layer in some fog as well, so we have. Oh, when I was out driving the other day at 6 in the morning, the sun was just coming up. The fog over the field was insane. You had like defined layers of like thick, cloudy fog trees. It was. If I wasn't driving, I would have stopped and taken a photo. It was absolutely insane. We're gonna go for something like that, I think. So, ideas. Get the screen recorder running as well. just to capture the process. All right, let's ungroup that. So this is the design I'm going to work with. Let's grab all the other layers for now, because there's lots of bits and pieces left over, and this is going to make my life considerably more complicated. So we'll just grab it all for now. Get rid. Call it other. And we'll send it to the bottom. Right, we'll hide that for the minute. Let's go name everything. Teeth. We don't really need them. There we go. Right. I think some of this we're going to need to go round. Now, we could pen tool everything, but that would take forever. So we're going to do it a faster way. Get a nice brush hardness of like 80–90%. It's called ScreenFlow. Yeah, it's for Mac OS. Right. We've got our bones here. I'm just going to go around with a nice small brush and just get rid of this weird pixelated edge. And I'm doing this deliberately very bumpy and shaky to kind of mimic the ground. If you can go around the ground, even better. You can always refine this later on, but we definitely don't want a pixelated edge. Using the brush tools much faster as well than pen tooling it. And you see, it doesn't matter if we're not perfect. This is going to be blended anyway. Nice. Going up around here. Yeah, perfect. This edge here is not too bad. Some of this just needs a bit of a clean up. And this isn't really a focal point, so I don't want to spend too long on this. It's just when you get pixelated edges, it can really just, especially if it's prominent, look a bit rubbish. Yeah, let's go around. And for anyone watching this if you've enrolled in Photoshop First Class, Module 6 is probably the most important module if you're thinking of entering the competition, because it will do cutout, exposure, and color balance, shadows and highlights. That is the thing that will make your entry like 15 gazillion times better, is getting those things right. And if it's anything like past competitions, they're the things that a lot of people will miss out or get slightly off. So, yeah, balance, exposure, color, shadows, and highlights, and obviously composition. I got some videos on YouTube as well in the Photoshop playlist about photo manipulation, so yeah, bone. Let's go around there. Module 4. Is that first class? What is module 4? Remind me. Got so many modules and lessons in my head now. No, it's not type, is it? I feel like type's module 5. How could you add texture to the bones? Oh, so easy. Just grab a texture you like and then pick a blending mode. Or go to blending options and then play around with these. It depends on the texture color as well. Like if you've got like a lot of black on a texture on a white background, go with like multiply or darken. Blend it in, drop the opacity, brush it in certain places, out of other places. We'll kind of be doing something similar, but maybe a bit different with this one, because obviously these bones, they need to have landscape and grass and foliage, and so I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do it yet, but so I want the texture of the landscape over the bones. But it's kind of like the more you learn Photoshop, you'll have like a repertoire of techniques that you'll pull from. So like, I've got no idea how I'm going to do that, but I know that if I just go through the techniques that I know, one of them will hopefully give me the result I'm after. And if not, then I'll just have a good old cry on stream. I'm going to try and speedrun this, because cutting out a skeleton is not what I want to spend the entire session doing. We can come back and add some more like chips and dents and things into this. Yeah, you see on the pixelated edges, it just looks like frayed and blurry and a bit rubbish. So we definitely don't want to have weird edges. Yeah, even if we're cutting into it, it doesn't matter. If you have like a product, like a manufactured thing or something made of plastic or metal, then you can use the pen tool. Oh god, look at this edge here. You see what I mean when you zoom in? So crap. Yucky, yucky, yucky. And then the landscape here, we're going to try and follow the landscape. So, oh, perfect. I've got an idea. So to make it look like the bones part of the landscape a bit more, we're just going to do maybe something like this. There you go. You see, it just kind of fits a bit more. Then we could do that. Bump it up a little bit. Jiggity jaggedy. Yeah, and it just looks like it runs behind that big lump of hillside. Do you get extra points for trying? I mean, you can have some points if you try. I don't know about extra. I think extra, you kind of gotta go. You gotta bring a bit of extra to your game if you're gonna get the extra points. Do you know what I mean? Right, this one here, I'm gonna reshape this slightly. Just do a bit of pelvic surgery there. There we go. Nice. Beautiful. Hmm?
He's trying to raid the kitchen. Come on, get out.
We'll get rid of those screws in a minute as well. Yeah. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. So, got like a little rivery green thing here. So this is going to be all bumpy, 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 bumpy. Super bumpy. Bring some of that up a little bit. And bring it across, bring it in. Yeah, see, look at the difference. This bit on the right versus the left. Like when you work on this sort of stuff, you've got to think about it in like realistic terms. Like, you know, how would it actually look? Would a random skeleton buried in the hillside be smooth, have a smooth edge? Probably not. Right. If we go inside the smart object, we can use the remove tool to try and get rid of these. Hey, David, what's up? Bamboo Lamps Creative. Thank you, sir. That is very kind of you. Right, let's get rid of these screws, I think. A screw. Oh, that's annoying. It's completely screwed up my mask. Why the heck did that happen? So what, using the remove tool? Generates an entire background. Well, that's a bit silly, isn't it? Okay, we'll try something else. This is the only use of generative fill that we're allowed, is to select an area and just click generate and use it to remove things. Yeah. Usually it's the remove tool or that generative fill that it does a good job. I don't know why the remove tool is being weird. All right. Let's make sure we're not going too far outside. Yeah, it's not technically difficult, is it? You could use the clone stamp or the healing brush, but it's just so much faster doing it this way. And a lot of the time as well, you can, at least with some difficult stuff, you can get a better result. Yeah, that's probably my favorite use of AI in Photoshop as well. Is just kind of automating the tasks, not doing the creativity. Yeah, see, this isn't allowed. It's generating new stuff. Just do the boring things that, like, I don't use AI to power the insanely new good cutouts. That's a good use of AI. I like that. I don't want to spend ages cutting stuff out. I do teach the old ways in the course as well as the new ways as well, because then at least you're armed with a suite of tools. Sometimes AI don't work, and it just can't do it, so you've got to fall back on the clone stamping and all that. All right, let's speed run this. I want to get to some compositing today. What are you? Are you a little bit of lake hiding there? You are. Cheeky. Come on. Yeah, see, it's just does all the boring stuff, so I can just get on with the get on with the fun stuff. Right. We've got another bone over here. This won't take long. Okay. I'm trying to jitter my hand to get a good result. Oh yeah, we'll have it arced up like that. Then we could do a little bit of shadowing underneath. Nice. Oh no, it's not a river. I thought that was a little ream. A river? It's not. It's a road of some sort. And then here, I'm gonna sculpt this bit here. We're going to bring it in a bit and then pronounce that a little bit more. Bit more bony there on the end. Yeah, there we go. Slightly better shape. Right. Scully. Skullhead. Might keep that little rim along the top. Okay. The bottom, we're going to blend that in anyway, like properly at some point. Back part of the jaw. Do we keep that? Yeah, I'll keep that for depth. It's a little bit pixelated at this sort of zoom, so I might have to like paint a bit more of Skelly. Maybe blend in some texture to hide all the pixelation. Because it doesn't look great, but zoomed out here, it's sort of acceptable, maybe. There's a few ways we can go around it. We could blur the majority of it, and then that will blur the pixelation. But then obviously we've got to like use techniques to harden up the edges. So you've added pumpkins in the eyes of the skeleton. Nice. All right. Pumpkino. So let's get rid of lots of this and see where the landscape is. Now we've got any hills and bumps and what have you to blend this in. Yeah, there we go. Nice little contour follow down there. Beautiful. And then up here, what do we got? Maybe we'll bring it around. Oh, we could have it coming all the way up here. Properly like embedded into the side of the hill. Maybe a little bit around here as well. And then again, just a really tasty edge. We can come and roughen that up later. If you've got more time and patience than I have here, just use a smaller brush and just twitch your hand and you'll get like a shaky, roughened, more organic edge. And then for this one, yeah, we'll go a bit smoother. There we go. Nice. I know this might seem very like pernickety to focus on just the edges like this, but these tiny little details, when you put it all together, it does make a big difference. And especially if you've got like a pumpkin as the main focal point in your image, if the edges are crap, it's going to stand out so much. More than if it's like spend less time on the sort of the background elements and the incidental stuff. But if you have like the pumpkin as the hero of your image, you want it to be very good. Oh, excuse me. Right. Nice. You only really want to do this sort of stuff once you've got your design looking good and you're happy with it. Alright, let's just kind of cut you out. We don't want any weird edges here, light or dark. Yeah, we'll go around here as well. Oh, concentration. Right, we've got a bit of a glow here from the sunset. We're actually going to get rid of that because I'll have my own lighting effects and things. Especially if I change the time of day or the weather or whatever. So we'll get rid of that. Thanks, but no thanks. What's this? That's fine. Oh, I've not listened to Pendulum in so long. Oh, it's like I'm 20 again. Thanks, Raquel. Okay. Castle, castle, castle. Ooh. The lake going off in the distance is quite nice. Castle could go up on the cliffside. Maybe. Not sure. I think I prefer that. We've got to fix some of this, though. Or is that... No, that doesn't look like it's meant to be there. Let's grab some land. See if we can just fudge something. That might do the job for now. Come back and play around with that later. Yeah, I think we'll leave castle off for now. But we'll retouch all of this anyway. And then if I want to turn the castle back on, or if I keep the castle like gone, then I've still got like a usable background here. Whereas if we keep the castle there and retouch everything with the castle and then get rid of it, there's going to be this weird gap. So, compositing time. Right. So compositing is where you blend two or more images together. So this is worth practicing and getting right with two images, because when you can composite two, you can do 10. If you try and composite 10 and you build a crazy scene and you've got a really good idea, but you don't composite, if you can't composite two images together, don't even go for 10 because it's just not going to work. Get good at compositing two images first, using what I'm going to show you now. And again, if you've got the Photoshop First Class course, we cover this in Module 6. Dark ambience. I used to rely on loads of effects and like lighting effects and rain and all sorts of other stuff to hide my dodgy retouching. I used to it used to be like I used to have like an effects layer, and if you turn the whole thing off, it just a lot of the time looked awful. The color wasn't balanced correctly and everything. And then you turn that folder back on, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's cool, it's fine now. But the problem is, if I have that layer that makes it go from bad to good, makes it very difficult to continue working on something, because, you know, do you carry on working on it with the effects layer on, which is really difficult, or do you turn it off and then you're kind of working blind, and then you turn the effects layer back on and you've got no idea how it's going to look. But yeah, first of all, what we've got to do is balance the exposure. So we're going to go hue saturation. We're going to strip out all the color. We want to balance the exposure without any color in play. If you've got color in there as well, it just makes it even harder. So we've got to decide what we're balancing to. So I think the landscape is probably the most prominent and correct thing, with the mountains and the landscape and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to balance to that. So we're going to leave the landscape alone, and we'll start with a pumpkin. Now you can do this with curves or levels. It's entirely up to you. Or you can do exposure as well, but I do like curves. We're going to clip this to the pumpkin layer, so we're only changing this one thing. And effectively, you want to look for the dark, medium grey, and then the lighter areas in the background. And then try and match the pumpkin, in this case, to the background. Now, this is a bit of a weird one, because we've got the foreground here, the hills are all green and everything, and then the background, it's got like a haze over it, so it's very, very different. But we're going to match the pumpkins to the environment that they're in. So we're going to try and... You'll see the difference here in a minute. So at the moment, the pumpkin it looks out of place, right? We want to blend it in a bit more. So we can grab this and play around, but we can also grab this icon here and just click on these parts of the pumpkin and drag up or down and make it lighter or darker. So I'm going to look at like the darkest parts of this image. So something like this. And then look at the darkest parts of this image, and you want to balance the darkest parts of both images together. And do the same for the midtones, which is kind of like those medium greys, and the highlights as well. So if we do this, you can see it doesn't look balanced. So I'm just going to very carefully do this. Yeah, so if I pull this down on the right, you can see it gets rid of a lot of the white. If I pull this up, it gets rid of a lot of the black. So if I was going to stick this pumpkin in the background here, I'd bring this up, and it would have that same kind of hazy effect. But we're not doing that. We're putting it down here. So these lighter areas here, these kind of whites, I'm going to bring them down. And just bring the whole thing down. So if I turn the black and white layer off and on now, you can see the before and the after. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's damn sight better, isn't it? Now, the color isn't balanced, so we'll come back to that. That's the next thing. But remember, we're just balancing the exposure. Right. Basically, because we've got all these different images that are shot. Yeah, new haircut. Hope you like it. They've all been shot under different lighting conditions, and the light might be coming from different directions or whatever. We sort of have to balance them first before we start doing anything. We have to sort of put all the images and their exposure on like a level playing field. Because if you miss this step, and I didn't even know about this, which is why I make a point of teaching it and using it so often in the courses. If you miss this step, no amount of retouching is going to fix it. You'll be blending, moding, and adding layers, trying to fix it, and it ain't going to help, because it's like a fundamental thing that's wrong. It's like trying to build a house on a clay foundation. That's probably not going to work. But I don't know. I don't know anything about building houses. So I don't know. Maybe clay is a good foundation. What do I know? Anyway. Yeah, that's pretty good. We do have the lighter parts of the sky in here, so I am going to maybe just, on this one that is... Yeah, just bring back a little bit of that light in there. Now, this isn't adding shadows and highlights, by the way. We're going to add all that stuff manually. You can see how yeah, look, this one just stands out so much. So this one's going to need a bit more of a darker treatment, I think. Ooh, that might be a bit too dark. Yeah, they're pretty good. And then the skeletons. Let's do the same thing again. A little bit lighter, a wee bit darker. That's pretty good, actually. Let's try it on this little skeleton here. Yeah, look at the difference. It blends it in so much more. Yeah, there we go. Oh man, what a crazy difference. Dee. We'll need to name these layers in a minute as well.
There's a crumble.
Uh-oh. And obviously different parts of the image, some of these will need to be balanced differently depending on where the light is and where it is in the image and how prominent things are. Yeah, that's pretty good. So if we then turn this off, you can see the difference. Color-wise, we're not quite there yet. But the exposure is considerably better balanced. So it looks less like we've just cut and pasted an image into another image. So you see here, that's what it looks like, completely unretouched. It looks weird, right? Like you've just gone and plonked it. Whereas that, we've still got a lot of work to do, don't get me wrong, but it blends a lot better now. Okay. Right. Let's name these layers actually, because it's gonna bones and pelvis. Yeah, we're gonna name these because it will get really confusing. And we need to group bits together as well, because we can make our lives a lot easier. So if that's landscape, what have we got here? Goodness me, lots of landscape. We'll call that landscape. Just leave that in there for now. Castle, we'll come back to that. What are you? We'll call you ribs. I don't know if it is a femur, but we're going to call it femur. Bone is a bit too generic. We've got our pumpkins named. Crow and Joker. Oh, they're all named. Crow looks weird because he's got this weird pixelated edge and this kind of white halo glow thing around the edge. We've got a pretty good selection of crow actually. So what we're going to do, and he's quite small, we're just going to make a selection here of the layer and then go modify contract by 1 pixel. Nope, that's too much. Okay, we're going to contract by 0.5 pixel and then add another layer. You can see it's totally got rid of that like white glow around the edge. And then we can, yeah, we come back and do the card and his beak and everything. That's easy enough. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. Next to the pumpkin. Well, where are we looking? Why is the crow so small? I mean, we could make him a giant crow, I suppose. could have a massive crow. This is like a wide landscape shot. So I think if I was going to have like a giant skeleton, this is almost like the aftermath of the skeletons versus the pumpkins. There we go. Maybe that's the narrative for this one. It's almost like the skeletons versus the pumpkins, and a bird just happens to land after it's all kind of said and done. Or we have a giant crow, and the crow is the destroyer of skeletons and pumpkins. Kind of like a Royal Rumble, but the crow came out on top. But I don't know. I think we might have a small crow. Yeah, and if I, even if I were to go silly idea of the war of the skeletons versus the pumpkins, I can add details in that reflect that. So once you do have, this is why I was saying about having like a bit of a story or a lore to your piece. What is it? How did it happen? Why is it there? Well, okay, there's a war between pumpkins and skeletons. All right, well, maybe I'll have a few more bones strewn around. I'll have bits of pumpkin-y flesh or bits of pumpkin just strewn around. Maybe pumpkin on the bones or hanging off the bones. So once you kind of understand your idea and your inspiration behind it a bit more, you can then make design choices and add things that reflect that. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a bit of visual storytelling. I think I'm going to go with that. The war between the pumpkins and the skeletons. The bones versus pumpkins or something. And then I'll add in loads of detail that reflects the aftermath of this great siege. I see peasants down there. Is that people? It's people on a little school trip or something. Or I don't know, maybe they got lost. My goodness, what is this? A giant femur. We're going to have to get rid of them. Yeah, the skeletons and pumpkins are massive. They're huge. That is the idea. Maybe the castle could go there. Actually, that feels like that feels like a really good place for the castle. Yeah, like it connects to the bottom of the river thing. It's at the base of the mountain, so it doesn't interrupt that. And yeah, that does feel like a really good fit. Pumpkin lore. Yeah, so same here. We're going to go around this edge. Just getting rid of the white. What are these things here? I mean, I could grab the spikes from the lantern and do something slightly different. Nice. Has anyone thinking of entering but hasn't got their idea yet? Or conversely, is anyone thinking of entering and they absolutely have their idea and it's not changing because it's just so damn good? Is anyone feeling especially confident? I can't wait to see what some of you make. I really can't. Especially, I know how some of you have progressed in Photoshop as well. Some of you have gotten so good. And so this is, yeah, it's been a while since we've done a competition, so this is going to be exciting. Do, 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 do. Yeah, some of these white lines around the edge are horrible. And everything I'm doing at the minute is literally the exact same thing I do for every piece that I work on. It's all just literally laying the foundation. Yeah, I think you're right, Care, actually. Yeah, that's good. That's a good point about the castle, giving everything a sense of scale. Yeah, I suppose to someone who hasn't seen it before, it's not necessarily immediately obvious. Referee. My idea is damn good if I can pull it off. Big if. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. That's still how I feel a lot of times with some stuff, especially hard stuff. I think this is going to be not too difficult, actually. I hope. But like the Oblivion one, I think was the last really difficult one that I did. And you go into it thinking, can I pull that off? It just depends, I think, how long you're prepared to work at it. Although something that is definitely underrated is if you're working on a unique idea, it can be very difficult to find um, like advice on how to achieve a certain effect. So, you know, if it's like a technique that you could say, oh Dan, how do you do this effect or this technique, or you could look up a video or whatever. But if you've got like a piece like this, and it was like, oh, I've got this old wooden door, how do I composite this into this image? You'd be surprised how effective ChatGPT can be at making suggestions. If you explain exactly what it is you're trying to go for and then upload a photo of your actual design, it can be quite helpful. If you explain what you want to do. So if you do get stuck, like I'm not commenting on any entries just to keep it fair for everyone, but until after, like if you want feedback on your work after the deadline, then that's absolutely fine. More than happy to. But ChatGPT can be very useful. Or if you've got questions, like if you're seeing a technique and you want to include that technique in your entry, in your you've got like a course lesson on it, you can ask me about that, and I'll still help out in that sense. Yeah, never do this. You see the fade here on the edge? You never want to have that soft edge because it doesn't look realistic. You wouldn't see that in real life, would you? It's like a man-made structure. So we're going to go along the bottom and maybe cut it out and carve it into the landscape. Yeah, there we go. We could even blend some of this. Maybe some of these punchy greens, we could dull them down a bit and then... Actually, what have we got there? We got trees. Ah, we got trees and bushes. I do apologise. You can come back in. We can use you. That's going to help us blend those bottom bits in. We've got bushes that we can just make a bit darker. Oh yeah, there's loads of techniques. You can use the shift edge and feather it this way, and density. You can use the selector mask. There's probably, I don't know, like 5 or 6 different techniques that you can use to do to like shift the edge and soften it. The reason that I'm using this one, there's a few reasons really. One, it's quick and I'm using a stylus, so it's very, very quick and easy for me to do. And the other main reason is, as I'm doing it, I've got my hardness set to basically almost 90%. If you go 100%, it will look too sharp and unrealistic. If you have it any less than that, it's going to look soft and fluffy like I just showed you. So as I'm cutting it out now, the brush has got a slight little 10% bit of softness, which is much more realistic. You know, nothing in the real world is like super crisp, perfectly sharp, except maybe the edge of a sword. So, oh, is that a bit of... Oh, hey, we've got some bush. Oh, hang on, what have we done here? We're gonna... Do we keep that?
No.
That could blend. Yeah, perfect, actually. We're going to keep that. That'll blend beautifully. And maybe we've got any more bush. Hey, we got some bush over there as well. Oh, we got bushes everywhere. Na 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 na. Yes. We'll keep some trees. Oh, there's loads of it. Oh my goodness, we've got a forest. Yeah, I mean, I might keep some of that, because then if we can just darken the trees and blend them in a bit more, that's gonna work very nicely. I'll just blend everything together. Maybe like that. There we go. Boom. Boosh. Castle. Got any more over here? Hey, oh, look at that. You cheeky little nugget. Yeah, let's got forest. Oh, look at it. We can blend it into the big rock thing. We got any more? Of course we have. Oh, look at that. Flipping beautiful. I mean, we could actually. Do you know what? Let's just get rid. Let's have it all. We've got some sort of birch looking tree. Fantastic. There we go. My life's complete. Something like that. Maybe. I don't know. Getting a bit excited over trees there, but hey ho. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's pretty good. We could. I could shrink it down and stick it a bit further back at the base of the lake. That might just completely screw up all the retouching I've done, but if we just brush this back in. Let me put you back there. Oh, that could work. Maybe. We just get like a little bit more lake trailing off there. And then let's go round the edge. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. So you just got foliage around the edge of the lake. And then like maybe some of that there. Nice. Yes, it's kind of like trees around the edge of the lake. That looks pretty cool. It's almost like it kind of snakes off into the distance and who knows where it stops. Mountain. I do kind of feel like I want a bit more sky. And I don't know if I can get more sky. I can bring the mountain down. If I move that up, it's going to do that. I could stretch it. It's a bit naughty. But there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. Rule of thirds, where are you? Yeah, it's interesting. We've got the castle and the skull kind of in the same sort of place. We could bring the skull down there. But I don't know. I sort of take it with a grain of salt. I use it more if I need to. That looks pretty cool. If I end up with something I'm happy to submit, it's likely to be very different than anything I've created in the past in terms of style. Yeah, that excites me more, Paul. I want to see that. That thing that you're describing, I want to see what that is. Why do you say that? Have you got like an initial idea in mind, or because did you enter crashed before saving? I think we'd met by then, hadn't we? I know you did the monster ski one. You had the entry of the scientist and the experiment with me on myself. Did you enter crash before saving? Because that's probably the most similar competition, isn't it? Where we used a preset bunch of images. The lighting effect from one bone to another. Sorry, was there a first part to your question, Kerry? I think I might have missed it. I am starting to do the hardest part, cutting and chopping the images as I need. Yeah, well, it's not technically difficult, I don't think. Selecting and chopping and masking, but I think when it comes to balancing the exposure and the color, which we're going to move on to in a minute, and then the shadows and highlights, they are hard. They're hard and they take practice. But it's one of those things that it definitely does take practice, because you can follow along with me or someone showing how to do it, but then when you've got to do it on your own design that isn't this, that's rearranged differently, it's like, okay, how do I get my design looking good? As long as you follow the same sort of steps in the same process, it's going to make it a lot easier. 100%. I think I do have a slight problem here, though, that I'm now noticing. And that is here, I've got different like exposure levels on the same bit of landscape. You see here, it goes from like being sort of very rich in color to being faded out. That is a problem. So let's get rid of all the dodgy land. And now I need this. I need more of this. Fresh landscape. And yeah, there we go. Oh no, it's tricky actually. Oh, that's really hard. Because it actually moves away from the camera. So how am I going to get around that? It's a damn good question, Dan. Do. Yeah, because the exposure between these different bits of land isn't necessarily balanced. So let's try doing it piece by piece. So it's just this little bit, this sort of strip here that isn't balanced correctly. If we're doing any sort of shading, 0% hardness. So let's just do this one. Let's see if we can correct this. So it kind of goes from, where's the flipping layer, this to that. That's not too bad. It's not ideal though. What's that? Let's get rid of you. Hey, Christopher. How's it going? How will the new harmonize option work on this? It's a good question. That's a very good question. I think you could use harmonize, and it's not in the rules that you can't, but, and I've covered this in a new video on YouTube. Well, not new, it's about a month or two ago. Harmonize will give you a good starting point, but you've still got like a lot of work to do. So if you go and watch that video on the channel, it will kind of show you that harmonize can be very good at giving you an inspiration or an idea as well. So if you've got something and you're not entirely sure, like, where should the shadow go? How should it look? Ooh, yeah, let's get rid of that actually. It can be very helpful, but even if you do decide to use it, you've still got to like finish it off and to get it looking good. Yeah, let's do this here. So this is a little bit fiddly. Let's just darken all this here. Let's try a different adjustment layer actually. Let's try exposure because this might work better. Boost the gamma a little bit. Still keep it bright. And we can go the other way with the offset. I don't normally touch offset, but if we zoom in here, because it is kind of, if you bring it up, you see it goes washed out like this. Usually it's top and bottom sliders you want to play around with, but if we just pull it a bit to the left, it might, yeah, it will counteract that washed out aesthetic. And we can just play around with these sliders. See that it, oh wow, yeah, look at that. Oh, that's the ticket. So you can do all of that with curves as well. Curves is like super powerful, but sometimes the exposure one is exactly what you need. It's very simple as well. That's sometimes why I like to use it, because it's just easier, especially if you're, well, I say you're a beginner, but I use it sometimes as well because it's just a lot easier to use. Like this bit here is a bit brighter, I think, so we're gonna just play around with these. Pull that down a bit. You see the difference before, not exposed correctly for this, and then after, that's a lot better. Yeah, so you've got a bit back here as well. Oh, this is such a cluster fluff. What we do with the mountain? Do I want the mountain to be that dark? It's kind of a lot more washed out, but I might keep that because I'm probably going to add layers of fog anyway. So I think some of this won't be too much of a problem, because I'm going to kind of add some staggered fog as we go further and further back. But let's not get too hung up. We can always come back and refine all this stuff. But now I think we need to get on to balancing the color. Hello. Oh, so you don't think harmonize? I mean, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one because what harmonize does is it does sort of obviously use the generative AI, and it does generate a new image, but it looks like your existing image. So it doesn't alter your existing image. It's very difficult. I wouldn't use it personally as like the final. I would use it for an idea, but I wouldn't use it as the final thing because it does all of the compositing, but it doesn't finish it off completely, and you can't edit anything. It just oh. Or maybe we just say no harmonize. Oh yeah, you might be right actually. Yeah, I think you're right. I think gut instinct says that. Yeah, I will. I will add that to the competition. Actually, you're a good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point. Didn't even think of that. Monster ski. Right, where would I add it? Where would I add it? Where is the bit about AI? Where is it? There's a section somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go. Manual creation. Yeah, you are correcto. How do I edit my post? There we go. All right. Do. Yeah, just the. Okay. Right, the AI powered feature. Feature harmonize in Photoshop can also is not allowed either. Yeah, does that sound all right? The AI powered feature harmonize in Photoshop is not allowed either. Hopefully that covers it off. No, this is all manual myself. Yeah, let's get rid of that. We got our castle at the bottom of the lake. Right, we need to balance the color. It's not too bad, if I'm honest. It's just the pumpkins, obviously, the glaring orange pumpkins. There's a bunch of different techniques you can use. One of my favorites is covered in the Photoshop course. But color balance is another good one. The technique that I just mentioned is kind of like an automatic one using curves. But sometimes like this, I kind of want to eyeball it. So what we can do is we can adjust the color in the shadows, midtones, and highlights. So the darkest part of the image, the mediumest part, and then the lightest part. So if I took the shadows, for example, I could add more green just into the shadows. So let's have a look at the shadows. Sometimes just doing this by eye is quite fun as well. So you can see a bit too green there. Yeah, maybe a bit of blue. And I'm balancing this to the background image as well. So if I were to kind of go and add loads of red or loads of cyan, you can see it looks a bit off. Maybe a bit of cyan. Actually, that's quite good. But maybe not too much. I would use this. I do this slowly at first because we've got the midtones next. Maybe a tiny bit of green in there, a little bit less. If you pull the slider all the way one way or the other, you'll kind of get an idea of which ones to use. You know, see, I'm pulling the cyan one all the way to the left, and it doesn't look as horrendous as if I do that. So just kind of hop backwards and forwards. Play around with each one. And then we've got the highlights. There's not a lot of highlights in this. Oh, this bit here. Okay, this is fair enough. This is still getting captured as the highlights. So it's still a bit red. I'm just going to push it around a bit. Maybe a bit less green. Yeah, something like that. Now, the pumpkins are very similar, so I might be able to balance them very similarly. Yeah, look at that one. So we're just going to, before, after. They're all slightly different, but sometimes you can get away with them. This one's a bit brighter. So I think here, for example, I'm going to have to do more work in the highlights to maybe push that a little bit more. Something like that. Yeah, look at the before. It just looks plonked in there versus, I mean, it's still plonked in there, but the color just looks so much better. Yeah, oh my goodness, look at the difference. Those first two pumpkins in particular. This one probably needs a bit more green. Where's it added though? Maybe in the highlights? No. Maybe the midtones. See, this bit here at the top now looks a bit too greeny. So let's pull that down. And yeah, something like that maybe. These two sort of stem bits here do look a bit different now, which isn't ideal. Yeah, that's not too bad. And then skeletons. So we'll do a color balance on this one. You are considering color correction with adjustment. I have a question. Is it better or worse to do this with layer styles? Oh no, 100% not layer styles. When you say layer styles, do you mean, yeah, blending options here? No. None of this. None of that for layer styles. Compositing, if you were to go back a bit later and watch the earlier part, balance your exposure with these three here. Then balance your color with either color balance or curves. I'll show you curves quickly, actually. Let me just get rid of this. So we can do something similar with curves. You've got obviously your exposure and all that here, but you can change the drop down so we can affect the green. So we can do some color adjustments in curves, and there is a technique that I cover in the course. It's a technique that takes a lot of guesswork out of it, but it sometimes can be hit or miss. It depends on your image and how you use it. Whereas this one here is a lot more visual by eye, so you can just drag the sliders around until something looks good. You don't even need to really understand any of this. Just play around and then you'll sort of see if it blends or not, or if it stands out awfully. So if I just try this, so something like this, you know, this skeleton here, whatever, this ribs and pelvis and things, it's in the it's in a landscape with lots of green. So inevitably there is going to be some sort of green tint to it, or you're going to get like the environment kind of rubbing off on it. So let's go for highlights. But you don't want to completely lose the color. We don't want no like neon pelvis. So I want to maintain the original color, but make sure that it is affected on some level by the environment. Shadows. So the darker parts. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Tricky one with the skeleton. Yeah, it's quite subtle there. So it just has like a little bit of a bluish tint. This one you might notice more because it's very like warm. But let's... Where's me ribs? There we go. Yeah, you see the difference there? It just might even need to go a little bit harder with that one on the maybe the midtones. Yeah, maybe there. And this one on the right isn't too bad. You can see, copying and pasting it over, it just goes completely blue. We've got a blue bone, which is not ideal. So we're gonna pull some of those midtones back. Maybe just pull a lot of it back actually. Shadows as well. And the castle. We've not balanced anything yet, so the castle actually isn't too bad. So remember, we're going to go curves. And, oh, how are we going to do this? We're going to bring down the shadows. So we're going to select the darkest part. Sorry, bring up the shadows. That's what I meant. And then we're going to bring sort of mids down a bit. Maybe push the highlights a teeny tiny bit. So you can see by working directly on the canvas, it creates the graph for you. So you don't have to work on the graph and not really know what you're doing. You can just use this and drag up or down on the canvas. And you see the difference there. So it does make a difference. If we... where's my castle gone? Yeah, there we go. Completely changes it. And then we're going to balance the color. This one probably actually won't need much. I don't think the castle actually needs much color balance at all. The trees do. What are you doing? You're making me paranoid. What's happening?
Just watching funny videos.
They're like giggling behind me. Maybe if we desaturate the trees and bring the lightness down a bit. Yeah, you see, we take a little bit of that vibrancy out. If we just brush that into the trees, it's gonna go a big step in blending them into the landscape. So I'm just being very, very cavalier and very rough with this. There we go, la 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 la. And then look at the difference. Just takes a little bit of the punchiness out. You could use vibrance as well to just dull it down a bit. And there's obviously this lush pink sunset, which you can't see a lot of it. I wish there was more of it. I wish I could get more of that up here, because then you could, that would change it. Then you'd have to have like a pinky, like a really cool pinky vibe for the whole thing. I want more sky. How can I... Where's the sky? I'm going to grab the original image. I want more sky. Have I got more sky? I don't really know. I got an idea. I might be able to do this and still be in compliance with my own rules. We use the remove tool to get rid of the mountain. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Yeah, I don't use selective color that much, Raquel. Oh, no, it's generated a new thing. Has it? Oh, actually, no. It's kept most of the sky the same, although it does look a bit rubbish. Yeah, no, selective color. I've just never really liked the panel, to be honest. It can be very useful in specific situations, especially with the blacks and the neutrals, but I always just find it so much easier to do color balance. What's going on? I can hear giggling. What are you giggling at? You little giggler. You're laughing at funny animal videos. Oh, that's nice. There we go. I just wish I had more sky. Okay. Landscape. Right, let's grab the sky. And we'll plonk it in. And then this one here, we'll select. Yeah, we'll select that. And then mask my sky and move it up. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Much better. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's all right. I was going to refine the edge, but it's in the distance and it'll be blurred anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That's nice. Right, so the fact that there is such a sunsetty-ish sky, this does make it interesting, because I've color balanced everything together to the landscape. But then the sky is going to affect everything. So, right, first of all, we've got some stuff here that's slightly, the exposure is slightly off. So we're going to do the same thing here. Just drop the offset. Just blend it with the other parts of landscape around it. Is all this making sense? I hope this makes sense. Please tell me if it's not. Or if there's anything that's unclear that you'd like me to go over in a bit more detail. Vibrance. Yeah, so just bring the vibrance up to match other parts of the landscape. This one here, slightly darker green. So how are we going to do that? Yeah, there we go. Saturation. So it's a little bit fiddly. I think that'll be all right. There's going to be lots of shadows and stuff added as well. But now what I've got to do, and this is going to get really weird, is I've got to group all of the, let's call this foreground stuff, and then leave the mountains and the sky in the background. I've got to separate those two bits. It depends on the situation. Is one method better over between color balance and curves? It really does depend on the situation. Yeah, it depends. Usually I'd probably say I use color balance a bit more. The good thing about curves is if it's very subtle, like I could have probably used it in this one to add a bit of green, a little bit of blue to the pumpkins or whatever. The same stuff I did. But then you contain it within a single curves adjustment layer. So it helps keep your layers and your layer stack really clean. As you can see here, we're at the beginning of this still. So layers, if you don't manage them properly, can get out of control very quickly. And if each layer's got like, the worst thing what you don't want to end up doing is adding a curves adjustment layer, then adding another one, and then adding an exposure one, and then I'm going to try and tweak that by adding another layer. You end up adding loads and loads and loads of layers for just one piece. Sometimes if you end up doing that, sometimes it's better just to get rid of them all and start again and try and do it with as few as possible, because it just makes the whole, just if you want to make changes later on, you've got to change 1 or 2 layers rather than like having 6 or 7. And then it's like a play a game of find the adjustment layer to change the thing. So it can get pretty full on. Right, where is so that's my sky. So I want you, I need you, I want you, I need you. Distant mountains. So these are the 2 things I think I want. So let's stick them up there. And then I've got my landscape here. Might be able to bring that back down actually. So we'll call it mountains and sunrise, sunset. We'll say sunrise. Yeah, so that is over there. Let's just fix these weird little grey bits. And then castle. Yeah, see, you don't want that soft, fluffy brush. You want a hard brush. Soft for shading, hard for cutting out and things. We can come and obviously refine that at some point. I might even just lop it off actually. Keep it a bit simpler if I just trim the top of the wall. We don't have any of those. Actually, I don't want these leaves either. This is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. So we're going to go and chop around it like that. Yeah, there we go. Kind of just have that part of the castle sort of semi-ruined. And we haven't got to contend with big leaves. And a little bit of fringing down here. And then we're just going to rotate here. Just slice that as straight as we can. Nice. Yeah, let's make it a bit crumbly around the edge there. Beautiful. Okay, so got the landscape. Can't believe I've got to wait like ages to see. I really want to see people's entries. I feel like an impatient child. I really want to see what people are working on. Oh, I don't want to wait. Yeah, it is a little. I have found it a little bit more complex. And whenever maybe I've just had bad experience with it, Raquel, because whenever I try it, to do a certain thing, I never get the result that I want. So, and then I just end up going, I'm just going to use color. What's it? Color balance. We can't use any more images. So these are the images we've got. You could do a starry sky if you could probably brush in. Actually, no, you can get cosmic brushes. So that's something I haven't really talked about yet. We will get there in the process, but if you haven't looked at Envato, brushes are a secret weapon. You can get brushes from anywhere. But these are I'll show you the packs that I just flipping love. Yeah, filter by brushes. Where are they? These ones. You can tell by so there's the smoke ones. Where are they? Cardboard brushes. So if you wanted a cardboard texture, fire ones. Tried them out the other day. Cannot recommend them enough. In fact, I'm going to link them if you want fire, just because they're the ones I think we used yesterday or no Tuesday, and they're flipping lush. Oh, hello. I didn't realize you were there. You come back.
You saying something about me?
I love you. Sunray brushes, snow brushes. You can tell by the cover art, they're part of the same family. So if you want to add weather effects, Starfield, crumpled paper, cloud brushes, water splash brushes. Brushes are allowed. Okay. Yeah, they're insane. They are. Brushes are. What's this? Vintage film texture. If you've not used brushes before, they will change your life in Photoshop. Nebula. Look, you got a whole full cosmic thing. You just throw a balloon at me. Oh. I'm going to regret this, aren't I?
They're the horrible ones that smell like petrol.
Yes, anyway, nebula brushes, very good. Watercolor, dust, very, very good. Cannot recommend that one enough. Oh my god, cobwebs. I've not seen that. They've got some new ones. Lightning, Kerry. Steady on now. I know you'll like these. The fire and lightning brushes. Balloon ski! And then pulls off. Off and away. Real dust. Oh, give me that now. Haven't seen you before. Get in my library. Watercolors. Yeah, so you could do your whole thing and then you could put like a watercolor effect or stamp some sort of texture over it, or yeah, brushes do open up. Oh my god, mist. Come on. Brushes do open up a lot of doors. Realistic cloud brushes. Yes, please. If anyone does sign up to this, by the way, please use I've got an affiliate link in the stream description. I should have anyway. And then I get a nice little kickback as well. That's not why I'm showing you this. These brushes are just flipping awesome. And they just, yeah, you might look at like rain, snow and fire and all that stuff and think, wow, that's so cool. It's just stamp, stamp, stamp. It's just brilliant. Oh, spark brush. Oh, like a good cinders brush. Oh my god, fog. Oh, I can't wait to get to that. When I put the fog in, it's going to look so sick. Oh, I'm getting carried away now. Right, we're going to leave it there because I will get carried away. Yeah. Can we create our own stuff? What do you mean by stuff? You need to be more specific. Vector times raster. Right, so you can create your own things as long as you're using the, I'll put it this way, as long as you're using the native tools in the software. So like if you're in Illustrator and you wanted to make a really cool title, or I don't know, say you wanted to design a flag. Oh, that's a good idea, actually. We could do a flag with a skull on it. If you wanted to have a flag, you could do the flag artwork in Illustrator yourself, and then you could copy and paste it into here. That's totally fine. As long as you make the thing and you're not getting it generated or downloading flags and other images, because that's naughty, isn't it? The balloon is laughing. Yep. He thought I was deflating. Yeah, it's entirely possible, Raquel. We have reached the part of the day where I might spontaneously deflate. Hey, you got to have a bit of random, right? It wouldn't be the same otherwise. Right. So what I'm going to do now is grab everything inside. What we got? This is the landscape, isn't it? Or well, most of the landscape. Yeah, let's call this. We'll call them objects. Yeah. So this is why it's good to organize, because then you can turn things on and off. And then I've got to group these together. We'll just call it, I don't know what to call it, objects. And landscape. Yeah, there we go. So now I want to apply like a color filter to just the stuff that is, and this is going to be because of the sky. How am I going to do this? I'm going to try a color lookup. I don't know if that's the right way, but I feel like there is one that's quite good. Oh, that gives it quite a nice vibe, actually. Oh, it's not what I want, but it's very rich, crisp or warm. All right, I'll come back to that. Winter, very good if you've got a snowy scene. Edgy amber. Oh, I feel like there was one that was... No, I might have made it up. So let's try. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Color balance. Let's try this. So we're going to crop that so it only affects the landscape. And we're going to see if we can change the colors so it looks like the sky and the sunset is affecting everything. So probably gonna sneak a bit of magenta in there, maybe a bit of yellow. Highlights. Yeah, so we're doing this really slowly. You don't want to charge into this. Shadows. See the before and the after? So tonally, that's not bad as a first go. I think that sort of reflects the sky a bit more. We could even use curves to bump it up a bit. Yeah, I think we'll brighten it up. We'll brighten it up a little bit, and then I can go in and add the shadows after. Yeah, I think that looks okay. If we go and grab the where was it? The before. Which mistake? What mistake do you normally make? Yeah, so that was, I think, this is before any sort of compositing. And that's first pass after. So you can see the difference. I feel pretty good about this, actually. Before, we've just got a collection of stuff, and then there it's... Obviously, we've tweaked a few things, but the colour and all that's kind of coming together quite nicely. Oh, yeah, I think that's pretty cool, actually. The next thing that's going to be quite... Oh, in fact, it is the hardest. That is the hardest thing, is the shadows and the highlights. And this scene's going to be especially interesting. Because if it's a sunrise, it's going to be very, very dark in a lot of places, but then the light is going to be from the sunrise. So we've got to figure out where the sun is. Where's the sun position? Sometimes you could have the sun like creeping around here. I mean, we could add a sun in the sky. We could add our own sun, but I think however we do it, it's going to be like, there's going to be a lot of shadows that need to be cast. And it will look insane. It will look so flippin' good when you do your shadows and highlights. Lesson 6.4, is it? I think in the Photoshop first class. It will look so good, but it's not easy when you first get started. Yeah, first thing is defining where your light source is, though. I'm thinking I might have it up here in the top left. Top left, yeah. Yeah, because once you've got your light source, so let's just say it's up here, off to the side a bit, and your light is kind of streaming in this way, you've then got to like add highlights along here. And then obviously in here is going to be shadowy. This part here is going to be shadowy. Oops. Yeah, so you've got to add your shadows in. You have to think about it in a realistic sense of which parts are going to be kind of hit by the sun and which parts are going to be dark. So the castle, you're going to have highlights like along here, along the roof. Highlight there, highlights there. And then all of this stuff, this is going to be your shadows. So that whole side of the castle is probably not getting hit by the sun. Pumpkin here. Going to have some light catching there. A little bit on the corner here. And then lots of shadows. Shadow, 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 shadow. Soft light here. But mostly shadow. And that's just because of this particular image. It's going to be very dramatic lighting. Here, you're going to have your highlights. kind of around there. Maybe just catching on this edge. Maybe a tiny bit here, but then mostly all shadow down here. And you have to go and do that for each object. Do the lighting on each object. Then once you've done the lighting on each object, you've got to do it on the floor. So you've got to think, all right, well, I've got this whole load of skeleton-y rib things here. That's going to cast a pretty big shadow. So the shadow is going to be something like this. You got the bone there. And this is all just casting a massive shadow. Because remember, the light's coming from there. So it's going to hit this and cast some flippin' massive shadow. Sorry, I went a bit Scottish then. Here as well, probably going to cast probably maybe a bit more up here. Like that. There's going to be a massive shadow here. So this thing here, this pumpkin is going to cast a shadow all over like that. So then you've got to add the shadows on the environment as well. But once you've done that and you turn your shadows and highlights layers on and off, you won't believe how different it looks. It's probably the, if you had to pick one on top of the balancing the exposure and the color, it is the one that you'll turn it off and on and go, holy shit, that looks good. It takes time as well. Just remember, when you are doing it, you want to use soft brush, 0%, this one here, default. And then bring your flow down to like, I don't know, somewhere between, I don't know, 5 and 30%. Have a play. The reason you want it really low is so you can just build it up really gradually. So if I were just to show you kind of an example here, just I'm doing it with black, but you can use your adjustment layers. If I were to kind of build up the shadow on the inside of the pelvis here, I'm just going to just do this. It looks a bit crap black, but let's do it with an adjustment layer. Go exposure, bring it down. Yeah, there we go. So it's darkest in the middle, and then as it comes out, if you go too hard with it, you can always just dial it back. And then drop the opacity if you do need to. There's lots of ways you can do this. Like here, you go along the edge. Slightly higher flow. And, oh yeah, you need to clip it to the layer so it doesn't go on the landscape. So it's just on the bone. And just by brushing in the shadows along one part, you kind of give it the whole thing like a bit more density. Sorry, not density, depth. It makes it look more rounded. Yeah, so that's just a really quick job. But it'll have such a massive difference. But you've got to do it on a per object basis. So when you're adding your shadows and highlights, levels, curves, or exposure is the adjustment layer you want to use. And that is the next thing that I'm going to do, but not today because it's 5:30 and I need to stand up. We've got a run to do, haven't we? Or unless we do it tomorrow, actually. Should we run tomorrow? She's not even listening. Oi! Hi.
Hi.
Should we run tomorrow instead?
I'm working tomorrow.
Oh, wait, am I seeing Liam tomorrow? Damn it. We're going to have to run today, aren't we?
No, we can do it tomorrow.
All right.
We will do it. We have to do it. Everyone, reminder. He's gone on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From the other side of the globe, hello to you too. Okay, right, amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Oh, what am I going to do actually? I don't know if I can wait until next week to work on this again. I don't know. I might do a little bit of work off stream, and I'll just keep recording everything because I'm still recording my screen. Let's. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Okay. We'll save that. We'll call it Monster Ski 1. Yeah. So I'll keep recording my screen just so I've got the whole process. Yeah, I might try and sneak in a stream at the weekend. No, we can't. No, we can't. The weekend is absolutely rammed. Oh no.
Maybe Sunday.
Oh, maybe Sunday if I'm alive.
Yeah.
Because I got to run as well. I've got a bloody 8K. We'll see. If not, it'll be full steam ahead next week. But I will record my screen either way. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. If you would like to enter the competition, there's a link to the Discord on dansski.com. I'll show you actually. So yeah, you can watch the video there with the details on how to join, or if you go down here and you just want to jump into the community, click on community here. It will take you to a page, name, email, and you'll get an invite to the community. The community is where, in Discord, is where all the rules are.
It's a weird and wacky place.
It's a weird and wonderful place with a lot of strange people, me and thee included. And yeah, that's where all the rules are. You have to post your entry there as well. So it's kind of all inside the community. And the pinned link at the top of the chat, if you are interested in learning to design professional logos with me and you'd like to set up a portfolio, all that stuff within 6 weeks, I'm launching a new program. And that is just a link where you can say, hey, I'm interested. Let me know more.
He's also got some great courses.
As and when it comes out. Thank you. Oh, we're all a bit strange, Raquel. Come on. We've known each other long enough. We're past that now. Anyway, have an amazing rest of your evening, and we'll see you later. Should we play Monster Ski again as the outro?
Go for it.
Is it going to get a bit much?
Nah, go for it.
All right, then. See you later. Bye.
Shadows creep, the ground shakes loud. A blackened sky, no stars allowed. Whispers crawl from the earth's deep cracks. A ghostly choir calling back, back, back. Crows and flag, their wings beat wrong. A twisted hammer, cursed song. Monsters escape. Howl and scream, we cannot fly. Monsters escape. Under you we live and die.
I'll click, click, undo, but it's too late. Control Z can't save you from this fate. Rushes swirl like haunted winds. Good fights evil, but dark winds liquefy the face of fear. Drag the
Eyes that glow like burning coal. They see your fear, they eat your soul. Monsters escape. Howl and scream, we cannot fly. Monsters escape. Under you we live
Well, there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed watching that as much as we enjoyed making that. I don't know. We did a video. They don't need to see all that again, Dan.